Good evening, everyone. This is Sachin Karnik here. Today is the 13th of January, 2026. I want to welcome you all to week number 2, year number 3 of the online personal transformation program through Angel Wing. We are moving forward this year into self-mastery. Self-mastery is a beautiful, beautiful state to be in. Our 3 guiding principles, as a quick review for Angel Wing, are self-mastery, personal transformation, which is what this program is aiming to provide or to promote, and then that will transform humanity. So part of that transformative journey, or in that transformative journey, comes self-mastery. Self-mastery is where we have the ability, the capability, and the intelligence. This is the hard part. The intelligence has to be awakened to do this. The capability, the ability, and the intelligence to place the correct amount of energy in each dimension, meaning in each action we perform, and to do so without causing imbalance. So I'm going to talk about this today. I'm going to make sure this is very clear. So we want to go very carefully, slowly, step by step. I'll try not to cover too many different points all at one time. So let's look at it very carefully. We know throughout our days, each and every single day, we have so much different type of action we perform. Right? Isn't it so? Right from the point we get up in the morning, we have things lined up throughout the whole day. Does it require energy to perform our actions while we're awake? Yes, of course. But the question is, are we putting in the right quantity of energy in each action so that we experience to the best quality what we want to experience? I hope this question is relevant. I'm trying to put it very carefully. It's recorded. You can listen to it tomorrow if you want again. But I'll repeat it again. Is Sachin, I use myself as an example, am I putting in the right quantity, the right amount of energy to perform an action so that I can experience the highest quality that is available through that action? Let's look at some examples. For example, let's say my brother comes to visit me, which he probably will next month sometime. And from the point that I see him to the point that he goes back home, let's say 2 hours pass. Am I going to be talking to him and thinking and interacting with him in some way? Yes, of course. What is the quality of the interaction that I'm looking for? Am I going to bring up some old issue, something that may have happened before, or somebody said something? Is that the kind of thing I'm going to bring up? Oh, obviously not. I have to decide ahead of time if I'm going to be in self-mastery or want to open the door into self-mastery. What is the quality of the experience I want with him for the 2 hours that he's going to be with me? So I can take a couple of minutes to do this. It's not hard to do, but we don't do this. This is the problem. So let's start doing it. Let's start doing it this week. If we want to open the door into self-mastery, which is our aim this year, these are the exercises. Our entire program this year is all practical. There's going to be some theory. There's a lot of theory. It'll be available as supplementary videos. But in my live presentation, I'm just going to talk about actual practical things to do. Right? So let's be very clear. I have to decide what is the quality of the experience I want for those 2 hours. I know that he's going to be with me for about 2 hours, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. I can say I want to experience happiness. I want to experience presence, and I want to be mindful and respectful and loving. And I can decide that ahead of time. See, we don't decide ahead of time these things usually. And then we just kind of are just rolling around and, we haven't pre-decided the quality of the experience. Whatever he may say, I want to be steady. Isn't it interesting? We say these things, we want all of this. Do we actually know how to go into that state? Well, the first and foremost point to keep in mind is to decide, I want to have this experience. I want to have the experience, but I want the best quality experience. Okay. So I visualize it. Maybe it's time with some other family members. Maybe it's time with the movies. Don't we do this when we watch a movie? Let's use real simple stuff. I want to experience some excitement, thriller. I want to experience mystery. I want to experience this. Then we select movies on that basis. Or we like a particular actor. On that basis, we select. In fact, we're doing this all the time. We're just not doing it masterfully. Once we do it masterfully, we are going to be in a much better position. Now, to do it masterfully means to decide the quality of the experience. But once I decide that, then naturally, how much energy to place inside that. It's like in the example that I'm giving with my brother, when I'm talking to him, should I dominate the conversation 80, 90%? No, obviously not. I need to be listening. I need to also talk. What if I'm just not silent? What if I'm just silent? I'm just not going to say anything. Speak really. He's going to say, what the heck is wrong with you? How come you're not talking? How come you don't want to say anything? Or I have to decide to have the best quality, how much quantity of energy to place. And that's what mastery is all about. It has to do with quality and quantity. Mastery would mean whatever the interaction is like, whatever he's saying, I am responding to him, thinking and giving my own perspectives and sharing and whatnot in such a way that doesn't damage the quality of my inner experience. So now remember, we talked about the 5-6-5. So the quality, quantity, direction, dimension, depth, and structure. We're going to get into this year. And right now I'm just cracking this open a bit further. You see how quality and quantity are applicable in action. In action, not inaction. And what is the action? That's the TEMDE. The TEMDE, thought, emotion, memory, desire, energy, is what gives us the capacity to perform actions. Obviously, that's what makes the decisions for us. That's what allows us to progress beautifully. And that's what allows us to really, really gain purview of the inner world. Right? So I'm going to do a little screen share here with you. We'll show you another mind map. We looked at some of this last time, but we're going to go into the emotional part. We looked at thoughts before. So we looked at these before. Nature, purpose, function. Right? We looked at that before. If you go into the emotional realm, we find some really interesting stuff actually. And much of it has to do with realizing one basic truth. Emotion is energy in motion. And there's 3 words I'd like you to keep in mind. Because when we talk about mastery, like the example that I'm giving with me and my brother, but you can use any example. You could be at work or with family members or with friends or with somebody else or in any context of life, doesn't matter. All of this is applicable. Right? So I can say that I want to have the best quality of emotion, respect and love and affection and whatnot. So that quality of my experience technically is called phenomenology. So phenomenology is the study of experience. You can see the 3, I guess they're, what color is that? Looks like greenish color. It's not really green. I'm not sure what the name of that is, but somebody can tell me maybe. But that those 3 boxes at the end there, phenomenology, physiology, and regulation. Right, so phenomenology is interesting because I can decide the emotion I want to have. Now you say, how is that possible? Yes, it's possible. I can decide that ahead of time by putting my mind in that state. For example, I can say I want to have a loving interaction with him. Whatever he may say, doesn't matter. He's my brother. my loving interaction is going to be there, and that's the end of the matter. So I can decide that, and then cracking the door into self-mastery means trying to stay with that decision throughout the 2 hours. So I hope that makes sense. So phenomenology, interestingly, is my experience, subjective experience. And then the way the emotions are flowing, emotional granularity. Right? It's the flow of the emotion. Emotion is not static. It is dynamic. So let's talk about this a little bit here. Simple examples, very simple. There's nothing complicated. It's actually, sorry about this hand. Every time I raise my hand, this thing goes up here. So I have to find out how to stop that. But anyway, in the conversation that I'm going to have, some statements could be made by my brother, for example, which I may not like. And if that happens, I have to swing back immediately to say, wait a minute. I'm not going to waste energy here. I'm going to stay steady, see the big picture, not lose my respect and affection for him. He's saying that for some reason. Try to understand what he's saying. You see how much is involved in that? Sometimes just a sentence or a word is spoken by someone and we just get so agitated. That's not mastery. Mastery of emotions, not victimized by emotions. And that mastery means maintaining the highest quality for oneself. It is a self-standard. It's also self-respect. Self-respect isn't ego, as some people might think it is. It's not. Self-respect is absolutely necessary to maintain, first of all, to set and then maintain one's own high standards. That is self-respect. If a dog bites somebody, if a dog's bite me, God forbid, but it could happen. It has happened in the past. When I was like 7, 8 years old, we don't bite the dog back. If a person is getting upset, angry, that something is going on, there, whatever. Okay, that's their issue. Our response doesn't have to be of that type. The internal environment is not to be contaminated by the external interaction. So, setting high standard. Self-mastery is the highest standard. Set that standard. I am in mastery. That's it. Stay with that. Don't move out of that. Set the high standard. Set that tremendous goal. And whatever he may be saying, my brother in my case, let's say, I am going to not deviate from my own internal standards. I'm not going to get upset. I'm not going to say negative things. I may have to say something very clear and affirmative, but I'm not going to damage the quality of my internal world. This is all practical. Our program is totally 100% application. The concepts are only useful if they're applied. And it's in the application that this entire transformative journey actually occurs. So we need to talk about it. That's what we're doing now. But application is everything. So emotions. We experience emotions all the time. We're always experiencing some emotion. But mastery. I am the master of my emotions. Make the I using the I pronoun is not a problem if it's done with the right intention. I am the supreme master of my emotions. Now, if you are religious, you can say God is present with me, and by His grace there is mastery. You can use that language also. It's perfectly all right. It's up to you. Emotions use a lot of energy very, very, very quickly. Particularly strong. We say strong emotion. Don't we use this expression, strong emotion? Yes. There's negative and positive and all different kinds of emotions. And each emotion has a certain amount of strength behind it. And that is also dependent on the health of the body. The healthier one's body, the better the emotions. The better the quality of the emotions, the healthier one's body. Very simple. I can also say, I want healthy emotions. I am going to live in healthy emotions. I am going to not deviate from healthy emotions. But when I say that, it should be clear what healthy emotions are. Worry, tension, fear, shame, guilt, blame, this, that, all this. We already know this standard list of trash. Who wants that thing? Do not identify with it. Don't even try to analyze it too much. I said, that's not me. That's not, guilt, shame, blame, overanalysis, using negative language, negative thinking. I don't want anything to do with that. If that is there, pull away from it through meditation, through prayer, through whatever it means, many means, and come right back into healthy emotion. This is mastery. What is mastery after all? The ability to pull oneself out of that domain that one doesn't want to be in, but our ego wants to keep us there. That's the biggest issue. When some negative thing shows up, it just wants to stay in that. Recognize that, no, this is not what I want. This is not helping me. It's going to wind up causing harm to others also maybe. Pull it out and come back to steadiness. From that inner steadiness, we have a broader vision. From that broader vision, we have a better way to try to deal with the situation. We all have to deal with life situations. But we need to deal with them with a broader, clearer vision. And that can only really happen when we stop dumping energy into negativity, over-analysis. It's not going to help us. We have to stop doing that. So stopping energy drain into negative thinking, negative feeling, into certain kinds of hyper-concentrated emotions. People watch this, like for example, they watch this world politics and national politics and local politics even, let's say. So people, you can wind up having some really strong emotions. This is so wrong and this shouldn't happen and this should be this way and why this person did this and these leaders are doing this and what kind of population do we have and this and that. We can wind up complaining and getting all distraught and angry and this and that. Who does that help? You really want to do something? Try to help somebody. Okay, you want to be active in trying to change the political system? Be active in that. Who's saying no? Write to senators, go to protests if you want, do this, do that. Do something constructive. If you cannot do those things, don't want to do those things, at least have good wish. Even at the very minimum, have good wish for everybody. Can we do that? I'll put it to you this way. Sachin is saying this with all humility. And after having studied these things for years and years and experienced my own life experiences, we cannot find self-mastery ever with negativity lurking inside. Even if we have negative emotion, hatred, or some kind of strong negativity towards anybody, even mild negativity, the door into self-mastery cannot open. Negativity is a killer of self-mastery. It will not allow us to go into self-mastery. It has to end. Yes, are there problems in the world? Yes. Are there some people doing some really terrible things in the world? Yes. Are there people doing some really fantastic things in the world? Yes. But if I bring inside my inner space the problems of the world and bring them inside of me, I'm in trouble. The problems of the world need to remain where they are. I can have a relationship with them in terms of trying to do something. If I cannot do something, I can at least wish well. I can do prayers. I can find some other way to see that. But it is not to be brought inside. And that has to stop. Otherwise, self-mastery cannot open. That door into self-mastery will not open. It just can't open. Because we keep bringing trash inside and analyzing it, getting frustrated. And what's self-mastery? All we're doing is damaging our inner quality, using unnecessary energy, over-analyzing, blaming, shaming, guilting, blaming, this, that, continue. All this thing goes on. No. That cannot open the doorway. And this requires awareness, a lot of awareness, heightened awareness to say, wait a minute, what am I doing? What have I done? See, there's 3 questions. What have I done? I have to look at that. Look at my past experiences. The past is in our memories. Look at it and see, observe. What have I done? And what am I doing now? What am I doing now? Why am I doing that? Can I change it? Of course. Absolutely, it can be changed. Change to what? Decide, visualize. I want to change it to this vision. The negativity is gone. The very foundational part this year, one of the most important parts of the foundation for self-mastery is the complete, unequivocal dropping of negativity. Not a partial dropping, not a 80% dropping, not a 90% dropping, not a 99% dropping, not 99.99999% dropping. 100% dropping of negative emotion. And with that negative thinking, it's not going to help anyone. It's not going to help anybody outside. It's definitely not going to help us. It will bind us further into bondage. It will prevent self-mastery. The first 2 years we have spent in PTP have to do with balancing and many other related ideas about energy transmutation. All the concepts are very clear. Now it's time to apply. And application means in the present, in the next hour, go an hour at a time. Don't make it too long. In the next hour, what is my best action? Now remember, action has 3 aspects. Verbal, mental, physical. 3 aspects. In the next hour, what am I going to do? I may have 30 different options or whatever. How am I going to use this time? What is the best way to use this time? What experience am I looking for? Can I live in harmony with myself? TEMDE. Always keep this right. It's right on our hand. TEMDE. Thought, emotion, memory, desire, energy. That's our inner space. That's our life. And in the TEMDE, I don't want anything negative inside there. It's very hard. You know why it's hard? Because there's some people in this world who are doing some really heinous, terrible, terrible things. Yes, we're aware of that. We recognize that. We don't have to agree with any of it. But bringing that negativity inside the TEMDE has to stop. It has to unequivocally stop. And to stop it, first acknowledge, not because Sachin is saying so, It has to come from within you if you want self-mastery. This is Sachin's opinion. Then the rest of it is going to be up to you to see. Some people might think they can reach self-mastery through all that negative emotion. Sachin humbly would say, no. If you disagree with that, fine. We can have a conversation about it. It's all right. Unequivocally, totally, it has to end. And that has to be meditated on. That why should it end? Some people say, I cannot be energized, unless I am having that fight against the injustice. You may be fighting against an injustice. It could be. Sometimes people go to court or they do, but it doesn't have to be negativity. In the Indian scripture, Hindu scripture, the Gita, Bhagavad Gita, this is one of its main teachings. Arjuna is a warrior and Krishna is the incarnation of God, and Krishna is giving him all this teaching, and Arjuna says, I don't want to fight, I cannot fight, and I don't want to kill anybody. I mean, it's a terrible situation. It's a long story, and there was no other choice but to get into a war. Sometimes that happens, right? You've got to do something, be active, you have to do your duty. But can it be done without negativity? For example, when people go to court, sometimes that happens, right? You go to court. There's somebody I know recently who just got a divorce. Something magical happened in that. It was real magical stuff. I won't give the name, obviously, but somebody I know that got a divorce recently. And both individuals, they went through the whole divorce process, and their respect for each other increased because they didn't bring negativity into the process. Have you heard of this before? Somebody getting a divorce without negative emotion, trying to harm the other person somehow, trying to grab something from they made an equitable arrangement, and they have some kids and all that, and they're doing so much better. They live separately, now they're divorced, they can live their independent lives, whatever it is. But the negativity ended, which was there for years and years and years. The divorce actually ended the negativity. Have you heard that before? Now, I'm not saying people should get divorced to negativity. Don't misunderstand. The point is that sometimes in life, a change in the relationship is necessary, but that change doesn't have to be negative. Sometimes you have to use harsh language towards somebody because of protecting that person or the child or somebody else. That doesn't mean negativity. Sometimes, so it is possible to do one's duty, whatever the duty may be, like a security officer at a mall. That person has to enforce the rules. Is that person being negative towards others? No, hopefully not. They are trying to enforce the law or enforce the security or whatever. That's their duty. So this raises another very significant question about self-mastery. What is my duty? If I'm not even aware of my right action, which is right duty, because duty has to be the right kind of action, I understand, then only I can masterfully perform it. And then when I masterfully perform my duty, I'm putting enough energy, time, effort, the quality, everything is in place. And then once that's done, my mind is withdrawn from there into something else. So mastery means placing energy and then doing the action with that energy and then withdrawing energy and withdrawing from that action and placing it somewhere else. That is what is mastery. But doing it without damaging balance. Don't damage the underlying steadiness, which was year number 2. How time flies by. We have glimpses of balance, but the way the program is set up, sustained balance at year number 2. Never lose sight of this. I am balanced. Stay with balance all the time. This thing about self-mastery, that is not going to happen until we have sustained balance. How is it possible? Can a plane fly at 40,000 feet in the sky above the clouds? If the wings are imbalanced and the wheels are imbalanced and the instrumentation is what will happen? First of all, it may not reach that height, and if it does, if there's problems inside, if it loses its balance, it's a huge problem. But when mastery is there, it's like the plane on cruise control. It's on autopilot, or like a car on cruise control. But what if the wheels are imbalanced? How can the car be on cruise control? You may not be able to drive more than 30, 40 miles an hour. So much noise is coming constantly. Then we cannot go to 60, 65, 70 miles per hour, and we cannot obviously put it on cruise control either. Just like that. Self-mastery is only possible through sustained balance. That's why this is year number 3. If somebody thinks that they can reach self-mastery by remaining imbalanced, by causing negativity towards others and oneself, by overanalyzing the content of the mind, by continuously rolling around in the mud of the problems of the world, that's not going to happen. Self-mastery will never happen. It cannot happen. Not with all this trash. Not with these imbalances and the chaos inside. No. Why do you think people take so much sleeping medicine, so much psych drugs, so many illicit drugs, and all the other rest of it? Why? So much alcohol is being sold. Why? Because we are not in a state of balance. And recreation is one thing, but to drown out. Look at the pubs, then the Friday evening, every pub is full. But there's so much unhappiness during the weekdays. People cannot wait until TGIF. Restaurants are named. Thank God it's Friday. As if Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. or something was the most terrible time. What kind of life are we living? This program, Angel Wing Mission Vision, is for every human being. And it is going to reach, the number of people it's going to reach, whoever is going to reach, it will reach it. But we cannot stop our effort. That's human upliftment. And that's the other thing I do want to mention, even this year, start talking a little bit about that. People are always saying, I want to change the world. I want to make the world a better place. Charity begins at home. Sachin is speaking for Sachin. I don't have authority to tell anybody anything. Even this program, it's a sharing. It's not a hierarchical program that Sachin knows more than others. I'm sharing things that I've researched and understood and my own perspectives. But you encourage each person to do the same. Sachin is not, I don't have authority to tell anybody to do anything. Nobody's given me that authority, and I don't claim such an authority. This is a non-hierarchical platform. We are sharing together. And all of these things that I'm speaking, I'm just going to say that I'm speaking, it first and foremost applies to me. And if I don't apply it myself, I'm lost. Doesn't matter how nice the language might be. Doesn't matter how nice the ideas might be. Doesn't matter. Maybe others might be benefited by that if they apply it, but I won't be benefited by it if I don't apply it. I've got to find out, where is my deficiency? Who's going to find that out for me? It's an open question. At 9 o'clock, we'll open it up for discussion. Sachin here challenges the whole of humanity to answer this question. Who can find my deficiency, Sachin's deficiency? Maybe others can get some understanding of it by seeing me, talking to me, whatever. But my internal deficiency in the TEMDE, that I have to discover that, figure that thing out, find it, recognize it, and get rid of it. That is 100% total personal responsibility, the theme of our first annual retreat 4 years ago. And this was a theme that was selected by Dr. Chaitanya Kripalu. And that has set the foundation for the entire structure. The entire structure of all of our programs, particularly this program. We have an opportunity to move into a domain of life, or to move into that realm where there is continuous uninterrupted balance, where there is continuous uninterrupted flow of the highest quality of energy in the TEM, thought, emotion, memory, and desire, TEMD. We have that opportunity. Who's ready? Who's ready to do this? As I mentioned earlier in today's presentation, there's a lot of theories. There's a lot of technical research I've done on this. But it's application. That's the only thing that matters. And I'm trying to distill that research. The research is there. This is not an academic program. You could get into academic and very technical ideas, but that's all right. That's also, we have formats for that too. But until and unless I, and use the pronoun I, because that will build ego strength. I do not want negativity in my life. I do not want imbalance in my life. I do not want to damage my core internal personal energy. That is my wealth. So reframe that. I am balanced. It's an affirmation. And stay with that. Don't move away from that. I'm not wasting an iota of my internal power. Not wasting it. I'm using it in the best way. I am filled with the highest quality of thoughts, of emotions, feelings, memories, desires, decisions, behaviors. The quality is of the best because that is my standard. Who can set one standard? One has to set it oneself, or you can use the scriptures or the great teachers of the world to set the standard. But until and unless we set a high standard, we cannot reach self-mastery. And this year, things are going to be spoken without any dilution. All that background stuff has been done in the last 2 years. Now we're going to hit the nail on the head, straight on the head. No dilution, no more. I mean, not that we've been diluting it, we haven't been. But there's a progression here. Now we have to hit the nail. Everything is there. The nail is there. The hammer is there. We've got to put that hammer in the wall. That's this. Is cracking that door into self-mastery. And then we want to stay in that next year. We'll see that. And it begins unequivocal dropping of negativity. And if it keeps coming up, there's a lot of prayers. I use rosary beads. There's every religious tradition has rosary beads. You can use. There's a lot. If you need help in knowing how to, I'll show you. Make a list of all positive statements. Whoever we have something negative towards, if you believe in God, ask God for forgiveness. Pray for them, wish well for them, and let them continue their life. We are not in charge. Sachin is not in charge of anybody else's life to control somebody else. I cannot control anybody. There is only one person that I have to control, modify, transform, change. That's me. Even as I'm talking right now, talking is only sharing, not telling anybody anything, not preaching anything, not even insisting upon anything towards anybody else. I have no authority to insist. It's not that at all. It is for oneself. It is a sharing through this language with the world community, but it is applicable here. If my attention shifts, why this person is not doing this person should do this person should do this. This is another problem we have as human beings. We are so interested in what everybody else is doing wrong. We're so fascinated by that, as if that is the whole end all and be all of life. No. Be fascinated with one's own deficiency. Work on that. The world will take care of itself. I think Jesus said that in the Bible. Tomorrow will take care of itself. I'll find the quote actually. We're so concerned about everything else that's going on in the world. We should be aware of it, no doubt. Be concerned about internal cleansing. The pure at heart shall see God. That is what is written in the Bible. And the same teaching is there throughout. It's just teachings are there. This is our experience. We haven't talked about purity. We're going to talk about that also. What is that? Self-mastery has to do with purity also. And that's a very difficult concept. People don't want to talk about that. Maybe in some churches or some temples, sometimes they talk about this. I don't know. What is purity? later on. Maybe that'll come later on. Because that, that extraordinary purity during the daytime is needed for the stability in the nighttime. That will come in year number 4. Or maybe at the end of this year sometime. We'll see how it goes. Amazing. It's already 8:53. Boy, how the time goes by. So the second quantum quality is tolerance. And give me just a moment. So what I'm working on is to have books published on each of the 52 qualities. There will be 52 books published at some point. If I can get these done relatively quickly, then that'll be great. You can see this one already has some 66 pages of research on this already. Let's go back into this for a moment. Hold on one second. So I'm just going to cover just a couple of points here. This is our second quantum quality of tolerance. So I'm going to read a couple of sentences here. At the conceptual core of tolerance lies what will be referred to throughout this work as tolerance object. The person, belief, practices, identity, or system that is explicitly disapproved of yet deliberately not suppressed. Yeah. So what does that mean actually? Well, think of it this way. You see, to tolerate, sometimes we have to tolerate. This is what we're talking about. Some conversation we're having, right? Some conversation, and we don't like what is being said. We don't agree with it. But tolerance is the ability to remain steady in that conversation. So these qualities are now going to be connected with the construct of self-mastery. It's not easy. It's not easy in the beginning because we haven't tried it. And we don't understand it very well also. When we see something on TV and we say, oh, this is the most terrible thing happening. How do you say tolerance? Tolerance means being steady inside so that our internal power is not damaged by that thing outside. We're aware of it. We see it for what it is. We are making an observation of what it is. We may even have some response, but that response is not to damage oneself. It is the tolerance that promotes harmony, stability, and strength. It's not tolerance in terms of tolerating injustice. To tolerate injustice is a great injustice itself. You have to know that this is an injustice. We understand. We don't tolerate that, but we also don't get overwhelmed by that. So based on the context, decide what to do if something is to be done. It happens in relationships. Like that situation, that divorce situation I was telling you. There was some serious stuff that was going on there. So that divorce was the next right step. Okay. But that changed the whole dynamic. But sometimes counseling is the step. Sometimes working together, and they could have done some work ahead of time to prevent that, but it didn't happen, whatever it was. Right? So the point is tolerance is a quantum quality. But we're going to talk about that in more detail because we don't have time today to go into like 3-4 hours. But that'll be our next subject in the next retreat next month. In depth. We talked about acceptance, which was the first quantum quality during this last Saturday retreat. And that's been recorded and all information is available. Very powerful stuff, folks. Patience goes right along with this. Patience, great patience. Then through tolerance, through patience, find the right action. That duty has to be done. And this is a quantum jump. It's a quantum quality, right? So that's tolerance. There's a lot to be said about it. Books will be available in the future sometime. 52 volumes will be available. There will be several hundred pages minimum. It might be more than that on each of the qualities that have been identified. We'll be refining those qualities a bit further and really want to promote the entire Angel Wing program, particularly this PTP program, to the whole world. I want to get a team ready at some point where people are trained in how to talk about this. They can share their experiences. They can invite others to the platform. They can go through audios, videos, but get the ball on the road. I want to even start a scholarship program for teenagers. So to a scholars program, right from 8th grade onwards, for teenagers, youngsters to be involved in this. Because the earlier we begin this process, the better off we'll be. But age is not a restriction. You can begin anytime. So these are my thoughts for today. There's a lot to be said about this, but I hope these points are very clear. I've tried to keep it simple and straightforward. In summary, 3 things to keep in mind. Drop completely negativity. Hour to hour, drop. In the next hour, I don't want negative thinking, negative feeling. Get rid of it. In any which way you can, get rid of it. Through prayers, through meditations, through affirmations, through change of vision, by offering blessings or whatever you want to do. Don't keep it inside. Get rid of it. Point number 1. Exercise number 1. Total removal of negativity. And that will allow brimming of energy from inside. The quality of energy increases. That's the first thing. Second thing, I am balanced. That's what I am. I'm not going to imbalance myself. And third point, decide to have the best quality experience in the next hour. That's all. Very simple. And everything will fall into place. With that, let's stop here. We'll skip the closing song for now because it's already 9 o'clock. I went over time. I'm trying to stick to time. That's another improvement I need to make. So let me stop here.